Okay, so welcome everybody to another episode of Heart to Heart podcast, and we are your hosts, Yen Chong and Tangi. And today is a very, very special episode. We finally have our first guest to Heart to Heart podcast, and we're really, really excited. And we really managed to find someone that we can connect with and have some sort of connection, because the first time we watched the films is really
very inspiring. It's like,
I would
like
never get to see
the kind
this
where
kind of
you
style.
see and you're like, wow, this is something that I want to try in future.
Yeah,
we reached out to them.
I was so hooked when I watched that wedding. Let me see, what's the wedding?
Very Lana Del Rey feels.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not even
I can't tell. Who's this? Oh, it's
that's
it's Vanessa and Sam. Yes, they were very cool. Such a good wedding.
Yeah, it was so good.
That was the one that we saw on the Discovery
Yeah,
page.
correct. Vanessa and Sam at Port Phillip Estate.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the one. I will just flash it out on YouTube, just let you guys see a little bit, a glimpse of it. It's just ridiculously good because we have never seen this in Singapore. And that's why we wanted to get them on the podcast to kind of share with us exactly the thought process and the style that they do, and to just kind of like get a little glimpse of this particular unique style of filming. So let's welcome Bottlebrush Phil.
Yes, Grace and Andrew.
Hi.
Take over, guys. Give us a brief introduction of who you guys are, where you guys are located, and just fun stuff about yourself.
Yeah,
well,
cool.
thank you for having us.
So pumped to be here. Thanks so much. We're basically, you want to take this one? I will
Yeah,
take this one.
you
We're
go.
Andrew and Grace. So I'm Grace. I do all the editing and Andrew does all the filming. So we're Melbourne-based Aussies. What else?
Yeah, we've been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now, and we've sort of the last couple of years really developed our style, and we just like experimenting and trying new things, and very storytelling heavy in terms of our filmmaking, which is fun.
Yeah, try to do as much kind of untraditional kind of wedding filmmaking as we can. So nothing too cliche, kind of like out there styles. Yeah, anything that's basically not super cheesy, we love doing.
Yeah, awesome.
And talking about style, could you since we are all filmmakers, right? Could you share a little bit paint us a little picture of what your style is like?
Yeah, like more of the storytelling concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard to pinpoint because basically we approach it trying to make it as like personalized to the couple as possible. So we get like a really huge range of people booking us. We do tend to like attract the party crowd. So that's probably why a lot of our films are quite like different in terms of storytelling. So we kind of don't shy away from anything like super crass. Like, I think in that wedding you guys just talking about like the celebrant drops the C-bomb halfway, and we put that in the film because the couple was really like out there and they didn't care. So yeah,
I think not everyone fits the traditional stereotype of romance and all those sorts of things. Like, people are so much more nuanced than that, and I think we try and just go with what the couple show of themselves in terms of personality, rather than trying to make them out to be this perfect, sweet, innocent people. Like, there's very few people that I know that are like that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, talking about films, congratulations on the nomination for the June Park weddings, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really,
Thank
really
you.
cool. I managed to saw that, and I was like, oh, I gotta vote for you guys. I think you guys really deserve it, and kudos.
thanks so much.
Yeah, that was Kate and Gabby's film. We really tried to experiment pretty hard with that.
That was an elopement. 2 girls, and they were just really down for doing anything crazy. So we got to kind of experiment with like a lot of cool lighting, and it was the ceremony was at nighttime, so we had it by bonfire. It was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very moody and very intense.
Yeah. We always said that if we would get married, we'd want to do it in front of a bonfire at night, but then I decided it'd probably be more fun to film it instead. So that's where the idea came from.
Nice.
Nice. So for your company, right, how you guys actually got started? Like, could you like describe at the very initial stage?
Like especially with the name, what got you guys started with
Yeah.
Bottlebrush?
We have like such a debate going about who came up with the name Bottlebrush. I think it was me. Andrew thinks it was him.
It's funny though, because we grew up in different states in Australia, and where I grew up, the farm that I used to live on, there were bottlebrush plants everywhere.
Oh.
It's basically Bottlebrush is basically just like an Australian Aussie native flower.
Yeah.
It's just like it's really pretty. But
Let me
Andrew grew up
Google that.
around a lot of it. Yeah, Google it and have a look. It's like this kind of red. Can't even describe it. It's pretty though.
And it comes into bloom. It comes into bloom once a year around sort of this time of year right now. And
It's
that's the start of the wedding season.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Cover
they're
our
kind of
face.
really nice native.
Cover our faces.
Yeah, cover your faces.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that comes into bloom around this time every year, and that's generally the start of the wedding season for us, which was the happy accident. So I don't know.
Wow.
I grew up around a lot of them in primary school where I grew up. So I was like, let's call ourselves Bottlebrush. And Andrew was like, no, that's a terrible name. And then like a week later, he's like, I know, what about Bottlebrush? I'm like, dude, that was my idea. So mutual.
So okay, let's just say 50-50%, yeah.
But there's always a saying, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So just agree on what she says. It's gonna make
She
your life
always-
a lot
Thanks,
easier.
man.
She always
But, like,
wins the argument.
Personally, how long have you guys been together? Like not in business.
Oh God, I don't even know.
2011?
I think like since 2011.
2011. Oh my God, same as us.
Same.
Oh, what?
We're both old couples, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we met at film school, and then a few years later we started Bottlebrush Films together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Wow, that's
Wow,
really
so this is
cool.
10 years
10
already
anniversary.
together.
Any
Yeah,
celebration
wow.
for that?
Yeah.
Like 10 years anniversary?
Any big celebration?
We're pretty low key. We're just like we don't really have an anniversary date or anything. For like wedding people, we're very like chill. I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll just be celebrating being able to get out of the house next year. I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for now, just enjoy being at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe for me, I have a more technical question. Because since I have a chance to talk to you guys, because I'm the one that always edits, and she's always the one that second shoots for me. So I kind of like lead her into spaces of what I need and what kind of vibe we are going for, based on the couple's like style. But I noticed that your films, the editing especially, it's super fast paced. Does it affect the filming way that you guys like approach the day itself? Is it must be like as many shots as possible get? Because it's like almost every 0.5 seconds I see a jump cut or there's a transition or something is happening in that situation. Yet I don't feel messed up, when I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's
It
very
still
like
felt
cohesive.
complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear for starters. I'm glad because we have a very fast pace in post. Do you think it affects how you film?
I guess I've always just filmed the way that I film, and Grace will tell me if she likes it or not.
Yeah, I mean, you film in like little grabs, so like in kind of 5-second snippets.
I think, for the most part, the longest sort of take I would film is for about 5 seconds, but I try and get as much variety as I can on the day. And I don't know whether it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know whether my shooting style influenced your editing style, or whether your editing style influenced my shooting style, but they sort of very, very much go together. I do have to, if I ever shoot for my friends who have a slower paced editing style, I do try and make sure that I film longer takes. So I guess maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just natural.
It's so like harmonious, like at this point that you don't even realize that.
Yeah, we
it's
don't
like that.
really overthink it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of it's determined by the music as well. Like Andrew's style can I think I adapt his style for any kind of couple. So like we've done some really slower, more romantic films where they are slower takes, but we mostly have been having party couples for like the last year. So it's probably just a lot of fast-paced stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you guys said that it doesn't feel like overwhelming or jumbled when Grace cuts fast, I think that's because she puts a lot of effort into connecting those fast cuts. Like there's no sense of just whatever shot goes after each other, they're all interconnected in some way, whether that's...
Yeah, I think like if there's a fast sequence, it's okay for it to be super fast and to jump throughout different parts of the day, but as long as they make sense as a story, so what you're seeing connects with what you're hearing. So, you know, if someone's saying, oh, you know, the bride's back in the day was really wild, then you can have like, you know, 10 shots of her being crazy from getting ready through to party, and as long as it goes with the right audio, it makes sense. So
yeah. That's something like what you do also sometimes.
A little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm really impressed because of there's a lot of like smooth pans in the shot. It's like boom, something's happening, then the moment boom, there's nothing happening during the scene. But it's so smooth. It's like I felt like you guys have like already anticipated something's gonna happen during that moment. So just bam, she's talking about something, then bam, another thing's happening. It just felt so smooth. I was like, damn, you guys really can read the situation really well.
I like shooting weddings because I tend to overthink everything in my life, and so you don't have a chance to overthink things when you're at a live event and you've only got one chance to get it right. I enjoy that part of it. I think that my shooting could be technically more perfect, but at the end of the day, I know that if I get something sort of slightly out of focus, but that's in the moment and that's raw and it's real to the couple, then that's the job well done.
Yeah, I kind of get Andrew as well, because like I do like having a lot of movement in our footage. Like that's something I'm a bit like obsessed with, because we do have some fast-paced stuff, and if it's all static, it just doesn't work. So I'm always on Andrew to like put movement in your shots, kind of use the gimbal for a lot of dance floor. And I do get you to, I tell him not to button off until he's whip panned away a lot of the time, because I like to use those whip pans as transitions and stuff. So there's probably a little bit there, but
I remember the first time Grace ever used, so I was recording and I dropped the camera and then stopped recording, and she used that into a transition into another shot, and I was like,
nice.
That was like years ago. I think everyone does it now, so it's like not really that big a deal. We were like, whoa.
I always say to people that she makes even my mistakes look good.
So Grace, do you like follow on the shoots itself, or you just edit after?
I just edit. I usually I have second shot occasionally, but like rarely. I don't love shooting personally. Like I don't mind it. Like I'll go to the weddings and second shoot, but I really love storytelling and editing. So I'm a bit of a nerd. I'd much rather be like with the computer, like connecting all the shots and stories and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say 90% of the time it's just me.
Yeah. It's usually Andrew just shooting alone. He doesn't even have a second shooter.
But we do spend a lot of the time with the couple, getting to know them. Like one of our favourite parts of the process is going out for drinks or a coffee with the couple and just hanging out and just getting to know
just bonding.
Yeah, that's really fun for us. It's just like a catch up with new friends every time. And I think through that you kind of get a sense of who they are.
Who they are, right? Yeah.
What about the wedding is important to them? For some people, it's about getting married. For other people, it's about having a celebration. Some people are more into, family and friends than they are about taking the center stage themselves.
Yeah.
We had a couple once say, I swear we love each other, just not in the mushy outward way.
So they were kind of like, we don't really want a romantic film. I'm like, that's cool, man. We'll just make it like really crazy and wild.
That's nice.
I'm wondering if, because you guys are always editing fast paced, but you guys still do slow pace if the couples are like, are that kind of style. Would you say like this is gonna be like your permanent style? Like people recognize you guys as like the ones that we just saw, like party, hyped up, crazy pants, crazy transitions? Or would you like gonna consider like evolving your style a little bit further in the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like even like 5 years ago, even like 3 years ago, our style was completely different. I think it just like naturally evolves and changes. Like we didn't start with this style we have now in mind when we began. We didn't even have this style like 3 years ago. So I'm sure we will probably change and evolve a bit. But I think the continuity for us is like attracting really kind of wild people and, things like that.
And when we get sort of similar types of weddings, we always go, oh, we'd love to try this or try something completely different. Like I think that's if we ever stopped trying to evolve, we'd probably quit. Like,
Yeah, it would get
It's-
boring. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
I
would
want to
get
have
boring.
one.
yeah, we
You'll
don't want to
get
ever be.
burnout, right?
Yeah.
We don't ever want to just be putting out the same thing that we've already done. Like the fun for me anyway in the shooting is always trying new things and trying to do better or do things differently, experimenting with a different lens or a different camera, or just trying to do the opposite of what I've usually done, just to keep things creatively interesting.
Okay. I'm just like a crazy fanboy here. I have questions
Just try to
that's
humor him.
made up, but then I have so many other technical questions that I'm like really
Okay, calm down, calm
Go fire
down.
away. Andrew loves talking tech, so he'll
Ask us anything.
he'll
No,
say
because
it.
it's like you guys are like single shooting, and to me, I can't do that. I just felt like I might miss out something. You know, I have this anxiety of like, what if I miss a certain
Yeah,
shot?
like he overthinks it also.
I'm
Every
like,
wedding.
oh, I gotta get this. I need to have like a double camera, even if it's a tripod. It's like so
Yeah,
big.
like
I'm just gonna
different
plant
angles.
it there, and I know that
Yeah.
I'm gonna be safe. But as for single shooting, could you like share a little bit of like on that day itself, and maybe of your gears? Do you bring like a lot of gears because you're just one person? And
Yeah.
I feel like share a little bit more on that, and like how do you tackle the day itself? Like, because I
Yeah.
believe Australians.
No, I think we need to know like
wedding.
the timeline of like typical Australian weddings,
Yeah.
because like in Singapore, right, mainly we do Chinese weddings. So for us, Chinese weddings can span like the entire day, like usually 10 hours, where in the morning we have this thing called like a gate crashing session, where the groom with like the groom party crashes and picks up the bride, and then they will have like some fun and games with the bridesmaids, and then the bridesmaids are like, okay, you need to give us money and then we'll let you in, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And then after that they will have the tea ceremony with the elderly and all. And then usually in the afternoon we will break, and that is when some choose to do photo shoots with like family or with the bridal party, or they get ready for the evening. Then the evening is where the solemnization take place, where the signing of the documents. And then after that, the dinner banquet starts, where there's like too much ins with like 2 outfits and the typical cake cutting, champagne toast.
day.
And so it can start as early as like 6 a.m. all the way until like 11 p.m. Yeah, it's a
crazy
very long
long.
day for us. So that's typical for Singapore Asian Chinese wedding. So what's it like for Australian wedding?
We have worked with like Singaporean brides before, and we've done lots of tea ceremonies and lots of the gate crashing games.
Yeah, that's
which
a
are
really
always
cool
fun.
tradition, by
Fun,
the way.
right?
We should always do that. I love it. So cool.
Yeah, definitely. But typically for us, it's just the getting ready in the morning. We go to usually to the guy's house first. They're not usually doing too much. We stir them up. We say goodbye. We go to the girl's place, get them getting into the dress, and then head to the ceremony. And then usually most of the time we don't do first looks. We don't do letter readings. That's more of an American thing. We do the portrait session and then go back to the reception, and then we might grab them again for 20 minutes for sunset for more photos and videos, and then speeches and formalities and the end of the night. Most venues in Australia have curfew as well, usually about 11 p.m. So the days are definitely not as longer. I think most of the time I shoot about 9 hours for the day.
Yeah.
Still quite long, eh?
Yeah.
But it's good fun, especially when the dance floors are going crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I travel pretty light, just one case with 2 Sony A7Ss and a third camera for a locked off ceremony shot. So one of my Sonys I have on a gimbal, because Grace loves lots of movement and gimbal's really fun to play with.
Yeah.
And then the other one's just handheld with a 50mm lens.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's like the most perfect lens, you know. You can't go wrong with the 50.
For ceremony and speeches, I usually use the 70-200, but sometimes I change that up as well. I've got the gimbal sitting there during the ceremony, and I might pick that up for a few shots and get creative on the wide. And that's pretty much my setup at the moment. But like I say, it's always changing.
Oh, it sounds like a very tiring job with 3 cameras. 3 cameras with tripod.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, the amount of setup.
I think Andrew's very good at like compartmentalizing, like, okay, this part I'm gonna have this ready, so I can just pick this up, and then okay, this part I'm gonna use this.
It's just,
Just like,
but there is
organized
one
already.
there is one important thing we do though. Like you spoke before about being scared of missing things, and that's something that we've sort of developed over the years. We've said to our couples that if you want someone to capture absolutely everything, then you're probably better off not hiring us, I guess. Like we could put a camera on a tripod, press record, and come back half an hour later.
And it's all there.
And you get everything. But to us, and probably to them, it's not going to be that interesting. I always say to couples, you know, I'd rather get creative and move around during the ceremony and get different angles and reactions and the stuff that's actually going to be meaningful to you. And that does mean that I might miss certain things. But if you're okay with that for the sake of creativity and for, you know, as many special moments as possible, then you're going to like what we do. And I think that managing expectations is really important.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like you kind of got to tell them as well, like the photographer's there to kind of capture everything, like to get every single face and to do the big group shots and, you know, tick a lot of boxes in that kind of area.
Yeah.
So I feel like with film, like you have a little more luxury to kind of play around and not have the FOMO of missing things. Like obviously, like you're going to guarantee them that you're going to get them like walking down the aisle and all the big moments. So you don't want to just be like, well, we might not get that, but for most of it, like, I mean,
I think that's from a cinematography perspective, that's one of the hardest things to overcome is the fear of missing out and what will happen if I miss this moment. But if you can wrap your head around getting past that, then it really opens up so many creative possibilities.
Nice. Oh, you answer this so well. I'm just gonna like, yes. I'm like thinking in my head. Yes, these are the things I need to do on the day itself. Yeah, because we have some weddings that I have to go alone, and that's where I have the most anxiety throughout the day. Though I know that I'm using a zoom lens and pretty much I can cover all angles. But our style is a little bit different. She really loves symmetry. She really loves framing. So she doesn't require much movement. She just wanted to kind of like frame it nicely. As long as there's symmetry, she's just gonna like, oh my god, I love this shot.
OCD.
I like that. Yeah.
That's nice. That's your style.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really more handheld 50mm kind of
like being there.
being there with at that moment with them, with the bridal party and experience that. So it gives me like two very extreme kind of pace. So if I want to cut into each frame, I just felt like it's quite seamless between me and her. And of course, with the ceremonial kind of shot, we usually kind of like cross shoot and have a center cam, just make sure that it's safe. And ever since I adopted this like 3-camera thing, I just felt like it's no way I can do with one person, and I would always have to hire a second shooter in case she is unable to do so. But seriously, I can't get someone that is close to her way of shooting. I always find it so frustrating. It's like, you know, when I'm cutting, it's like, oh, how I wish that she was there.
No, like for us, I think it's to do with like our couple chemistry. Like, do you guys feel that also? Like, part of why you guys work so well is because of the like chemistry that you guys have as a couple and like just working together very well.
Because I feel like there's no barriers. Like you don't have to be, I mean, there's no, not to sound terrible, like you don't have to be polite. Like you can just you just think about each other, all cards off the table. You know exactly what the other person's thinking, and like it's nice that, you know, you've got to act like, you know, you can completely rely on this person. So it's nice. It's definitely
we finally have like another couple like that work together and understand. Because sometimes like, you know, he gets like really like frustrated sometimes when he can't get something. They'll be like, calm the down. And then he'll be like,
I get like that too, don't worry.
Yeah,
but that just means that you care, and that's never a bad thing.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's
our
funny.
Our style isn't super cinematic though. Like, I mean, like I love your shooting, but we're very like kind of rough and raw with how we shoot. Like, I guess we're not so worried about like, symmetry in the frame and things like that. You used to be, I think you started out that way, but kind of because of how I edit, we've kind of your style's changed a bit too, and we've just kind of meshed it into this. I don't know what it is, but yeah, everyone's got different styles. Like I'd say there's a lot more cinematic companies out there than us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And when we do have the opportunity to hire a second shooter as well, I don't look for people that shoot in my style. I look for people that shoot the complete opposite, because I think that's really interesting for me to see and learn from. And I don't want people to try and copy what I do. I want them to shoot in their own way the best possible version of themselves that they can be. And I learn things from that as well. I pick up, and that gives me inspiration and ideas too.
Yeah, and I think when we do have second shooters, because it's rarely me, like we'll hire someone else. Like we've got a lot of film mates here in Melbourne and kind of around Australia. But when we do hire a second cinematographer, it's not because we want them to kind of be a safety net. Like we tell them, don't be there just to cover and make sure we've got everything. Like do the opposite. Like make sure you're filming for creative shots.
Yeah.
Like we don't care if you only get like 30 shots. Just make sure they're all amazingly creative. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't want them just to overshoot things. We want them to have a crack. Like, yeah, I mean, like you and James do that a bit.
Yeah, to really go crazy. Like, it's almost for one particular guy that we use, James, he went to film school with us as well. And when he and I are shooting together, it's almost like a competition of who can get the best shots.
Yeah.
That's nice.
We had one night where the couple was having the groom had surprise fireworks for the bride.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because we've got the two cameras and Andrew's filming the couple, and then James has run off into the bushes to get the widest
100
shot.
meters away.
100 meters. He's got his camera running through the bushes, getting this like amazing wide of like the venue.
Wow, I can imagine that.
Lighting up.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's like, I feel like when you work together as like, you know, when you have a second shooter, have them be really creative and passionate about not getting everything, just getting about, you know, the right things, the coolest things.
Well, yeah, we always say to people, it's not about the shots that you get wrong. It's about the 3 minutes worth of shots that you get right, or the 5 minutes worth of shots that you get right. Like, don't be
Wow, we should make that into a quote.
Yeah, quote unquote.
A bumper sticker. Like.
Yes. Andrew.
I was actually waiting. Actually, this is my first full frame. It took me about 2 years, like because I've been shooting
Half frame.
APS-C sensor for I think a year and a half, 2 years before we decided that I think we need to kind of bump up a little bit just to kind of get that. I like the beauty of full frame because of low light, and also I get to use zoom lens with quite decent. I would say the bokeh. Yeah. So I have the flexibility of like pop, wide, close.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds like I'm a very lazy shooter, but I started with like I still wanted to try to shoot full frame with a prime. I haven't get to shoot that yet. Maybe one day I want to try. Yeah, because I think zoom make me really a very lazy
shooter.
Yeah.
You might be less tired at the end of the day though.
Yeah.
But I think the beauty of prime is like you never get that look.
Yeah.
You know, no matter
the
how
feel
hard
is
you try to shoot with a zoom, that 50 mil compression or the 85 mil compression with that 1.8 is, oh my god.
Okay, calm down.
I love it.
Oh my god.
You get carried away with this.
So does Andrew. I usually just like
I
plug my
can
ears.
talk for
You're definitely talking my language.
You guys are really like the same.
Yeah, you guys are like the same person.
And then us girls were like, okay.
We're like,
No, because I've been following like a lot of like filmmakers around the world, just kind of see exactly how people shoot their stuff.
The time we talked to, I don't know if you know them also, they're this American filmmakers, Foolishly Rush In. We had a podcast with them also. Yeah, they also have a very distinct style, and it was it was also like this, like it was like a podcast also.
Yeah, so we have like an exchange, and it's always nice to find out how people actually
like different
film stuff.
perspective at different places and different styles.
Sure. Everybody can have the same camera, but when you approach the day itself, it's just some magical thing happen when like we shoot the day itself, and when we see photographers approach the day, I kind of learn from them also like exactly how especially those that are very discreet shooters, like they don't like compose them, like try to pack everybody together, get good shots, but some are really like very secretive kind, like stalker-ish kind of way. When they shoot, they just like sneak past some some
Yeah.
like bushes and just shoot through.
Paparazzi style.
And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is how they shoot. I'm like, okay, I should try that too. So I steal a little bit of their shots. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll just position the same just right beside him and just like
Yeah,
see whether I
man.
could get it.
You gotta get some
Yeah.
inspiration occasionally. It's definitely good to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got one question though. Like, cause you guys went to film school, right? But like, what made you guys decide to go into like weddings, and not like corporate and like
Oh,
other
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, I think we just did it by kind of accident.
Yeah.
Do
it
share
wasn't
more.
Yeah, Andrew started working for a really big wedding film company when he was studying.
Yeah. They do about 300 weddings a year.
Yeah, it was a bit more churn and burn.
Wow,
so they're a huge
that's
company.
That's
Yeah,
how
well, they had
many
They
a
had
month.
like
Crazy.
eight cinematographers and a whole team of editors. So they were a churn and burn volume studio.
Okay.
But it was a
Divided
great place to learn
Yeah,
cinematography. So I was a second shooter for like 12 months for them.
yeah.
And then
So you're like sort of like thrown into the swimming pool and just like, okay, learn how to swim.
yeah,
that kind of
totally.
style.
yeah, which was great. It was really good. And I don't think I'd even been to a wedding until I started working for those guys. So
Yeah, but you basically, Andrew kind of wanted to be their top shooter
Yeah.
and they weren't willing to kind of give him much more work. So Andrew, one of his friends, was getting married and Andrew's just like, I'll just film it. So we did that for free. And then he came back with all this wedding footage and I'm like, what are you doing with that? And he's like, I have no idea. I'm like, because I was studying. I loved editing the most at uni and I really decided that that's what I wanted to do. So we edited that and then it just started the ball rolling. From there it was just like random inquiries and just kept going and
yeah, we never
stopped.
We never set out to be business owners and it sort of just happened by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I think now we're kind of like, we do love the wedding still, but we're now starting to expand into some corporate work and things like that too, just to kind of keep our style fresh because we've been doing weddings for so many years now. So we're kind of interested in doing some other things too. We'll see where we end up.
Yeah, we want to keep pushing ourselves creatively and see what, and I think that'll help the wedding work as well. We don't ever want to become stagnant.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure with your style of shooting and editing, I think you guys are very well suited for commercial work.
Very versatile, yeah.
Very, very commercial, very fashion.
Yeah, you can do like lots of different
the cuts that you guys shoot, I think is very well versed for social media because very flashy, it's very like over the top. But it's not messy. I think I don't even know how to cut like you guys. It's like I'm just trying to visualize how the hell Grace can cut within that
You
frame.
just can't get into the
It's
head
like
of Grace.
0.3 seconds. It's like, I'm trying to break down the shots, but I still can't visualize that. As a fellow editor, I'm just like, I'm just scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I need to slow-mo this. I really see frame by frame. And sometimes when you get engrossed in other people's film, actually on YouTube, you can actually slow down the frames, right? And you can
like analyze.
You can
frame by
actually
frame.
see very clearly, okay, at which part they change or what kind of transition they use. So I'm just trying to watch and understand. Yeah, but I think come to a question where, because you guys are a couple, right? Is there a tip that you want to kind of share with us? Because since we are still very young in business, like for wedding business,
But not in relationship.
not in
or couple.
relationship. Is there a tip that you could share with us, like how to work well as a couple? Yeah.
Oh, how to work well as a couple.
I don't know. I don't feel like it.
It's a constant battle. It's constant. I think the only tip I'd say is just to be really clear on your jobs, like what your roles are in your business, and to constantly check in with each other.
Yeah.
Like we had a few years where like we overbooked too many weddings.
Yeah.
Andrew handles a lot of bookings and I do all the post-production. So he gets FOMO. He likes to say yes to everybody who inquires. And so it runs away from us sometimes.
Yeah.
And I did a few years ago and I had such a big workload that it was just so hard to handle. And we just didn't communicate properly.
Yeah.
So like I ended up with
I
a huge
see.
workload and it just snowballed for, a long time. So I think just constantly check in with each other and just like, how's your side of the business or how's your role going? Like, are you happy, feeling like you're on top of things? What can we do better in our business to actually make sure we're both on top of our workload, really?
Yeah, that's key. And I think it's easy for it to become all consuming when you work together as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think the main thing that we've learnt is to try and make time for each other outside of work as well.
Yes, that's so important.
Even just to watch a TV show or chill out.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
I mean, the same way you schedule work, sometimes you have to schedule time together. It sounds lame, but honestly, you have to.
No. I totally agree. Like, sometimes I have to force him to take, like, he's embarrassed already. I have to, like, force him to take time off, like, even, because, like, for us in this industry where the weekends are the busiest, right? Yeah. So I always tell him, okay, you have to take at least one of the weekdays off. Yeah. Don't even talk about work, because sometimes, he gets too excited, and then once he starts talking about something, then he will start talking about work, and I'm like, okay, let's not talk about work, let's talk about something else.
But it's fine.
Andrew is the exact same. Like, I have to tell him, you need to take a day off. Like, it's Tuesday, have a day. And he's like, no, I have emails. I'm like, put your computer away. Yes. So,
then he'll be like, but this couple inquired with me. They'll be like, it's okay, they can wait one day.
Yes. I literally, word for word, say the same thing to Andrew. It's actually hilarious. I don't know. Andrew's a bit of a workhorse. Like, he found his passion later in life. Yeah. So he was a mature age student at uni. I was 18 and Andrew was 27. So we have an age gap. And so Andrew always says, like, the reason he is such a workhorse now is because in his 20s, he didn't have a career he loved. Like, he was kind of just faffing about and not doing much. So now he really loves work because he's doing his passion. Yeah. Whereas I worked all through my 20s and, like, it took me a few years to work out. But now I'm like, really chill, really good at taking days off.
Yeah. Like, nice.
And then for 2 days.
And then for him, his excuse is like, but it's therapeutic when I edit, or this is not work to me. I'm like, no.
It's therapeutic. I mean, editing is really something that is like, I'm not working, but I'm just like feeling my zen doing that work.
Oh,
At least it's a blessing that we love what we're doing lah.
Because I only started this like when I was 27. 27, 28. So now I'm going close to 30. I really wasted like most of my 20s to find this. Like, I managed. I totally understand where you're coming from. And that's why I don't want to waste to the point where when I'm like going to my 40s and I regret, I would at least want to try it out first. Because I gave myself like 1 year just to see whether it works out, be it in the corporate or in the wedding field. And I just give myself, if I can't make it, then just too bad. I just have to find a full-time job. But thank God everything went in place. So it's not work.
Yeah.
That's great. But you've got to keep it that way. You've got to keep it that way. Like, if you're addicted to what you're doing, that's great. You've got to make sure that it's sustainable as well, because not a lot of people last long-term in what we do.
Yeah.
Good reason for that.
I think at first when we first started, like, it was very much like that for us too. Like, I found editing very zen and very like, it wasn't work. But I think anything, like, even like hobbies can become work if you just let it run away with you. Like, you need to check in with yourself and just have a day for yourself. When you start to burn out, you'll feel it.
I'm feeling a little bit. Because it's like the end of the year, and I think Singapore's wedding season is like now, like just started, like now all the way to the end of the year. So it's starting to get packed with like pre-weddings and actual weddings and proposals. I don't know why people like to propose during this period. I think during COVID, I think there was no chance to get out and propose. So everybody was like, I need a proposal. So we did like 6 proposals in
1.5
months. Almost every weekend there's like a proposal.
But it was nice because the decor, like, there was a decor company to like set it all up.
Set it all up. So it's just there shooting and documenting it. I think that was quite fun. But it's also quick cash because it's shorter hours and you can get the edit much faster. You have content for your social media. Basically, it's like an all-rounder kind of thing, and you are pretty much covered in the business and the marketing.
But curious, who is in charge of the social media? I think it's Grace. I knew it. I think girls like, just have the aesthetics.
And the way that she writes as well, it's yeah, I couldn't do what she does.
Yeah, I love it. I find it really fun. Like I haven't burnt out from social media yet, but I just think it's so fun.
Yeah.
We've actually had conversations where we've had to, because like on our website copy and our kind of the tone of voice we put across on social media, Andrew's like kind of writes very traditionally and a little bit coy, whereas I'm a lot more kind of blunt and crass, and I like our kind of voice Bottlebrush to be quite kind of unique, if I can get it that way.
Yeah,
so
that's our brand, and the way that she writes is our brand, not the way that I write.
So we have good jobs there. So if he wants to post something on social media, I'm like, what have you written? And I'm like, you can't write that, Andrew.
And then you have to edit, and then like
if you swear words in, like, there we go.
She's not just our film editor.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
awesome.
Okay, so but I think the last question here is if both of you, I think, should have one answer each. If you have one tip to give a fellow creative that hasn't get into the industry yet, what would it be and why?
Oh, who
It's
hasn't
like
got
some
into
like
the industry yet?
Miss Universe question. 1 minute.
Well,
Ding.
see,
I'm not wearing my bikini.
Summer's coming though, you could.
or if they're trying to become a filmmaker or they just getting into the business, I'd say like the most important thing is networking. So I think a lot of times with film and media, it's all about who you know more than what you know. Like you can be really basic at what you do, but if you just need to get a foot in the door. So when we started, we were very much into, like, Andrew's such a good networker. Like I think a reason why we've booked so many great people over the years is purely from Andrew's networking skills.
I like talking to people.
He likes talking to people. And, you know, when we did our first few videos, which we basically did for peanuts, Andrew contacted the venue and the photographer and had all the vendors share our film and get our name out there. Yeah, so just network really
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say, like, if I could give myself any advice from 7 years ago, would be to just have fun with it. And that's something that we've always done, but that's important for everyone because weddings are very unique. In music videos, in feature films, in corporate videos, there's usually always a client or a stakeholder who's going to give you feedback and give you direction, and you're never going to be able to do exactly what you want. Wedding videos are the exception to that a lot of the time because people go, okay, I don't know anything about it. I just want to hire you to do a video. They don't go, oh, I want it to be fast paced. They don't go, I want you to use these colors. There's no direction, which is like a really huge opportunity to experiment and do whatever the hell you want. And that doesn't really exist in a lot of other forms of video. So that's quite a special thing about wedding filmmaking.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that a lot of the time. And yeah, I think networking and also learning as well. That's important.
Learning.
Studying. We
Just putting your hand up for lots of shoots and getting your name out there, I think, like being, we did a whole bunch of we did so much crap in uni. Like Andrew signed us up for all these like student shoots and we, you know, experimented with a lot of different like mediums of film. Definitely just experiment.
just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Give
it all a go.
Yeah, you never know because I think 2-3 years ago I was also like at the verge of like deciding what I should do. Then like I was telling myself like if I have to use up all my leaves for
I think you need to give them context. Okay, so previously he was working in like a dead-end office job, like typical doing admin and stuff. And then he started doing like video as a hobby. And then and then we had like some friends who had their wedding coming up, and then like they were like, oh, like why not you just shoot for us for fun. And then he just tried it out, and then like he just found that he liked it. But then he was a very logical guy. Like he was very worried whether it made sense financially. And then to me, I told him like, okay, if you get out of your office job, you will have more time to make connections and to source for clients and to sort of focus more on like marketing and building up the brand.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, correct. So I 100% supported him like to quit the job, and then he like, okay, let's do it. Yeah. So never looked back.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
now
That's great.
she's complaining that I work too much.
Yeah.
It's like you supported me, and now it's like
Regret,
I'm
no
working too
lah.
much.
Man, I reckon so many creatives in the beginning spend years like straddling, their full-time job, like their other career, and then wanting to get into film. And it's usually the ones who don't cut off the other job that never really make it.
Yeah, they get burned out really fast,
Mm.
even before they go full-time, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So I didn't
Like,
want
you
him
need
to
to-
become like that.
Yeah. You need to
Yeah.
launch yourself into it and go like, what do I actually want career-wise? If it's film, then there's no point having this office job. Like you said, just throw yourself into it, and you'll have more time to do all of it. So yeah, that's cool. Love that.
Yeah.
But work-life
Well, what
balance
about?
is important.
Yeah, correct.
The longer that you go into this, the more I realise, for me anyway, work-life balance is important, because I think there's three things that I would define success as a wedding filmmaker by, and the first is financial freedom, like if you're earning a good enough wage. The second is creative satisfaction, like whether your work is bringing you joy. And the third is work-life balance, and I think that's probably the hardest one to get right.
Exhibit A.
True story.
Exhibit B.
Biggest The dudes.
It's true.
So yeah, I think if you can always check in with yourself on those three things, then
Yeah.
you can't go too far wrong.
Yeah. No, but I'm curious about Grace though, like, cause Andrew shared how he got started in this accidentally. Like, what about you, Grace? Like, where were you before you got into this with Andrew?
Well, I literally came straight out of high school, then did 2 years of uni. I was actually TAFE, it wasn't even university. Did 2 years of study, and then I started doing a couple of random wedding films that Andrew had shot, but it wasn't super serious for like a while. I actually got a job as a junior editor at an advertising agency in Melbourne, a pretty big one. I feel like that definitely was like key for me becoming a good editor, because I just got thrown like
Deadlines
videos by
and
these huge
deadlines.
brands. Yeah, and they keep you to like
Oh.
midnight to pitch videos, and it was really cool. I got to edit like videos for like Kathmandu and Tennis Australia and some, Asahi and some big brands
Jeep.
out here, Jeep. There was some cool shit I got to edit, and they were kind of merciless. Like everyone at the
Shit.
agency, like they would give you really rough feedback, like this isn't good enough, you need to do better. So I kind of learned by doing, but it was kind of good. Like I'm not someone who struggles to take bad feedback. I'm like, all right, we'll just do it better.
Yeah, you're definitely a precious creative. Grace tends to thrive with hard feedback, so
Yeah.
Nice.
That's sometimes a good way to learn as well. If you're getting into this business, don't be afraid to give someone your work and ask for feedback, because that's how you grow. Because most of the time we do have couples who are like only giving you positive feedback. Oh, we love our film, thank you so much. Of course they're gonna usually love it, like it's their story, and they don't really understand film. So give it to someone who does and ask for some feedback, because it's helpful, man. Like you need to be
Constructive
able to
feedback,
improve.
yeah.
Constructive
It
feedback.
helps you grow, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think usually I'm the one giving you the constructive feedback. I'll just tell him straight in his face, okay, this one not nice, cannot make out.
Yeah, exactly. You got to learn to take it on the chin and improve
It's
when
kind
you
of
can.
fair because she shot half the thing, so I guess she deserves to kind of give the feedback, and I think the beauty of her is she can be able to be very objective. She don't really give a crap if she's married, and she's just gonna say that. And
I'm not polite with it.
yeah, and I feel that I think the best part is because she kind of represent like the brides out there, and she's more relevant, like, because usually the ones that go give the approval is usually the bride. So if she can feel the intensity of the film, if she can feel the emotions in the film, if there's no gaps in between, and she feel that that's right, or if she cries, like she watched the film and she cries, I know that I did something right.
I cannot let.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign. Like, it's a good measure. What you actually feel from watching it.
Have you like ever teared from like watching your own video that you edited, or like from?
only a few times.
Andrew has only cried a few times, but he's basically a robot.
Yeah.
I never tear up watching my edit, but I have teared up like watching like raw footage for the first time, like going through the footage of a nice speech and stuff. Because people say some really nice stuff.
Yeah, especially when they're people that don't usually open up, and you can see that they are.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
it's always when the guys open up for me. I love like when a dad gets up there and says something. I'm like, oh,
I lost it.
Yeah, there's a dude crying. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, because like us girls crying, it's normal, right? But
I know,
it's
like, man,
not
we-
normal.
yeah,
Yeah, we cry all the
exactly.
time.
But a grown man cries like something else, I think.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
interesting.
Oh, it's nice. It's just very heartwarming and like
Mm.
you just never know what to expect after every wedding because like
Yeah.
every wedding is different. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the best part of this job is that like, you know, no matter what, like, you know,
Yeah.
you think weddings get repetitive, but they really don't. Like there's so many people from different walks of life that you get to like tell their story. It's pretty incredible. Like there's always some huge point of difference. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's so different. Even if they appear to be the same, they're not. You just have to dig a bit deeper and see.
Yeah. I always feel like people who are like, we don't know if we're cool enough to have you do our wedding film, or we don't know if we're out there enough. I'm like, you don't have to be anything. Like you just be yourself and
Yeah.
you know, tell your story.
Yeah.
That's what you get the best films from. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, that's
Yeah.
that's about all that we're gonna ask. I
Yeah.
think we pretty much
Yeah,
covered
awesome.
You guys answered all the
120%
questions
of
very
it.
well. Yeah.
I actually added like 5 more out of that 5. That
I think more
added.
like 10.
Yeah, so it's like 15. Yeah, so really thanks a lot for like, you know, accepting this and being
Yeah,
part of this
giving us the
podcast.
time, yeah.
And being the first ever guest. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks
to
so
be part of
much.
this whole process. Yeah, because the previous one that I got, like the time we got Felicity rushing in,
That one wasn't from this brand.
yeah,
this wedding
that
brand.
was just like a corporate brand that we did.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
okay, initially when we started this, right, it was just like this corporate name. So like there was no division between the corporate side and the wedding side. And then after that, we decided to like make the wedding side more obvious
Of
or
its
stand
own.
out. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
came up with a different name for just the wedding side. Yeah, so that's why you
Yeah.
guys are the first guest for this
Oh,
wedding
that's
brand
cool.
podcast. Yeah.
That's so cool. Thanks so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having us. It's been so nice talking to you. You guys are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like we have
same.
an alarming amount in common. So
It's so creepy. Okay, we can have
Yes.
like more Zoom sessions with like beer and like
yes,
maybe
100%.
games.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's always
Yes.
interesting to see what other people do differently in different countries as well, because it is the same craft, but there's so many different things culturally, and it's just really it's just really fascinating to know how different people do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll totally do beers, Zoom beers soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just wrap things up
Yeah.
in the podcast. So thank you so much, Grace and Andrew, for being part of this podcast. And if you have any questions after watching this, be it like filming or if it's just wedding itself, do let us know in the comments below. We'll love to kind of have a conversation with the couples that are watching this, or even vendors that are watching this. I believe we'll be sharing this to all our friends, our friendos, to be watching this, to be part of this. Yeah, and see you guys on the next podcast.